or welcome back to my channel. I am Taylor. Today I'm so excited because we're going to be having all of the book chat. So I have not done this yet. I know that this was like a big deal last year. A lot of booktubers were doing like the mid-year freak out, the book tag. I'm not really there. I'm obviously just kind of starting, so we're just gonna do a little mid-year check-in, mid-year book tag. Get cozy, get your favorite drink, and let's sit and chat some books. I have read 28 books this year already, which is insane. My goal was 20. I just really started reading. Like, I've always been reading like a book or listening to like an Audible or something, and I might read a few books a year, maybe like 4 or 5. But fall of 2022, I really started reading. And so last year I read 18 books and I was like, wow, that's like amazing. And this year I've already read 28 and we're only halfway through the year. So we'll see how many I get to. I'm not even changing my goal. I'm just gonna see what happens and where I get by the end of the year. So I think because I'm reaching so many books, I was like, you know what? The end of the year is just gonna be so many books to talk about. So let's definitely do a little mid-year check-in. So I do have a list of questions that I'm going to be going through for the book tag. And I definitely want to give credit. I believe this originated last year, summer of 2023, with Sarah Caroli, and I could be saying that wrong, but she's the one that kind of came up with this whole entire freak out book tag thing. So definitely want to give her credit. I will be going through those questions and definitely also just like listing out and sharing with you guys all the books that I've read, and then that way if you have questions about them, you can drop those in the comment section below. So before we jump into the questions, I thought that we could just start with listing and showing you guys the books that I have read. So just going through my Goodreads, I started the year off with Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. Absolutely love that book. I don't have all of the physical books. I do kind of like triple dip. I will be listening to something audio, I will be reading a book physical, and then I usually will read a book on my Kindle as well. So some of them are my Kindle, I'll pop some pictures up, some of them I have, but I did start the year off with Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. I really enjoyed this book. I have found that contemporary romance is a favorite genre of mine, which I never ever would have thought. Loved Archer's Voice. And I think I'm deciding like that I don't want to give stars and ratings. Like, I'm just gonna kind of share with you guys books that I read and tell you if I enjoyed them, and take it or leave it, you know? I think like whenever I hop online and I'm checking out books and I'm kind of, or checking out like trying to figure out what books to read, and I kind of start following people, looking at videos, I feel like there's just a lot of negativity around books and just very harsh criticism. And that's just kind of not really my vibe. So I'm gonna share with you guys books that I like. And honestly, I really kind of love all the books that I read, and even the ones that aren't my favorite, or, you know, they would be like something maybe I wouldn't read again, like I'm still not gonna like trash it. So if that's your vibe, stick around, because that's the vibe over here. Started the year off with that, and then jumped into The House in the Pines by Anna Reyes. This one was a thriller, a lot of fun. I mean, really like psychological, kept me on my toes. I was just like, I need to know what the hell is going on. Is this going to take like a mystical turn? Where is this going? Very cool. I would definitely check this one out if you are into those thrillers that just really keep you on your toes, and the ones that you really kind of want to sit down and read in one sitting. This is for you. I then read Howl's Moving Castle on my Kindle, and I love that movie so much. So I just wanted to read the book and kind of see how the movie held up to the book, and it was really actually fun to get to compare and contrast the two of them. And now I really appreciate the book and the movie in their own right, and I've really been learning that like as I read a lot and I see a lot of what I'm reading that has already been adapted into film or TV, or is being adapted currently into film or TV, I've just kind of learned to appreciate each in its own right and not always be comparing the two of them like directly, like everything should be the same. And I have found that it's kind of like a double enjoyment for me, so try that out. I then read Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher. This was my first book by her, and oh my gosh, you guys, she has become a favorite author of mine. I love T. Kingfisher so much. I'm going to be devouring all of her books, and I'm actually trying to take them a little bit at a time because I just love them so much. She definitely writes very quirky fantasies, and if that's your style, check her out. If you're like a Tim Burton lover, and check her out. Like she's totally different than anything I've ever read. That's her style. She does have some horror. She also writes some children's books, and then she's got these kind of quirky fantasies. So I'll be listing a few others of those. And right off the bat, we'll go into her two that I read, What Moves the Dead and What Feasts at Night. These are two books that follow a gentleman, and they're actually based off of, or the story is based off of The Fall of the House of Usher. So very, very cool. Again, quirky fantasy. I also then read Thornhedge. I would consider this like a novella. It's very short, very fun take and spin on, I always say like Disney princess stories, but I think like that's not really where they originated from anyway. Like a fun take on like Rapunzel, Sleeping Beauty, and if you like stuff like that, then this is cool. Like if you were kind of somebody that liked to read like Grimm's fairy tales, or you like to read those, like I forget what the series is called, it's got like Hooked and all that, where they kind of take these stories that we all know and love and they kind of twist them up a little bit. Check out Thornhedge. All right, we're going to go through kind of quickly because I do want to get through the questions, and I have had a long day at work and I'm ready to eat dinner and chill. So let's get through this. I started the Mead Mishap series with The Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon. This one was so much fun, a lot spicier than the cover lets off, and I was not expecting that at all. Probably like one of the spiciest books I've read to date, but a lot of fun. And I did read her second one, That Time I Got Drunk and Yeeted a Love Potion at a Werewolf. I need to read the third one, but these are just a lot of fun. If you just want to sit down and have some fun, have some laughs, this be super relatable to like this current time, like 2024, read this. Not a lot of world building, very easy to get through, very easy to read. If you want to read, if you've had a hard time getting into fantasy, definitely check out this series, because I feel like for me, I've read the ACOTAR series, and that for me was a lot of world building. Like I've read other fantasies growing up, and sometimes the world building and the like super descriptive language I think can be too much, and sometimes that just deters people from reading fantasy at all. But don't let that happen to you. There are so many other fantasies out there where it's not really focused on the world building. We just jump right into a story and get to follow along and have fun. So I would check this series out. I then read Layla by Colleen Hoover, and this was one of her thrillers. Very, very different. It was very unexpected. I don't want to give too much away because if I give you any details, I feel like it's going to give it away, but it is definitely something like I haven't read from her before. If you enjoyed Verity, I would definitely check this one out. I thought that it was good. That's all I'm going to say about it. So I have fallen in love with Gillian McAllister. If you read Wrong Place, Wrong Time, you definitely need to check out Just Another Missing Person. This is like a thriller mystery. You're trying to solve a case, and I just really, really like Gillian McAllister's writing. I feel like her books are really the kind of books that you want to sit down and devour in one sitting as well, because you're just like, what the hell is going to happen next? I have so much fun reading her books, and I just think everyone should check them out if you like thrillers. So Just Another Missing Person. I also read Too Late by Colleen Hoover. This one kind of had a lot of triggers for me in there. I'm not a big fan of anything that has to do with like harming a woman in a sexual way. I'm not going to go too in depth with that. I have a really hard time, like I typically have like a no watch for that on TV, and so reading that too is just very heavy. So there was some of that kind of alluded to in there and kind of actually really happening in there. Just, bear that in mind. But again, this was also something she's never written before, and she hasn't written anything like it since. If you want to check something out from Colleen Hoover that's a little bit different than her contemporary romances, I would check that one out. I also read First Lie Wins by Ashley Elston. This one took me a little while. I was into it, but I wasn't as into it as I thought I was going to be, which I was shocked about, honestly. I was shocked about, but it came together in the end very well, and I really did enjoy it. This is a thriller. You have, from the moment in the beginning, the girl is lying about her entire life, and you just have no idea why, and it just takes some crazy turns, and it's a lot of fun. So if you like those twists and turns and unexpected whoa moments, this is the book for you. Check it out. I also read Fourth Wing, and honorable mention, I'm halfway through Iron Flame. I'm obsessed. And as we go through the questions later in a second, I'll get through that, but I'm completely obsessed. I love it so much, and I was not expecting to love it so much. Also very, to me, just the right amount of world building. But this one, I do feel like there is a lot of that kind of battle scenes and stuff, so sometimes some of that I'm like, all right, let's go, very descriptive in those scenes, and for me, sometimes I'm like, all right, let's move on. But, if you like that, definitely check it out. But either way, I think everyone should read Fourth Wing because it's just a lot of fun, and you are going to fall in love with the characters. I also read The Seventh Bride by T. Kingfisher, and this is one of my favorites of the year. I just love her so much, and I can't say enough good things about her. Like, if you just want to read a cozy, quirky fantasy, read her books. Like, I'm just going to repeat it over and over. I also finished the ACOTAR series with A Court of Silver Flames. I have the book, but my camera's propped up on it right now. That one I really took my time through, like the last half of last year and some of this year, just taking my time to get through. But I invested in the characters, so once I'm just that invested, I have to finish it out, and I just wasn't in a rush to do that. But I have appreciated what Sarah J. Maas has brought into my life. Wasn't obsessed with like the last few books by any means, like I was the first two. But again, if you like jump into a world like that, you want to see the stories through for the characters that you've grown to know and love. So very fun. I also read Salt and Broom by Sharon Lynn Fisher, and this was a take on Jane Eyre, a witchy take on Jane Eyre, and that's enough said. If you like those two things, read it. Okay? Salt and Broom, amazing. I also read The Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose. This woman had me gasping. I listened to this on Audible, and the last chapter, I was just like, what is going on? She does that to you. If you want to just be like, what in the actual hell? Like Silent Patient, like if that's your vibe, you need to be reading some of Geneva Rose's books. And speaking of her, I also read Home is Where the Bodies Are. Same. Where you think you have it figured out and you don't have it figured out. And then in the end, you're like, what in the actual hell? Now, if you did read it and you figured it out, good on you, because she got me both times, both books, gasping. All right, I also read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo and Daisy Jones and the Six, and about Taylor Jenkins Reid. Totally caught me off guard. Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is an amazing book. Amazing. If you just want to dive into a good story that's going to have you in the end thinking about it for days and weeks to come, and it's very like you're going to be like invested in the main character and her story, and it takes you really like through time. The main character was an actress and is very famous, and takes you through like old Hollywood, which I just thought was a really fun perspective and just blew my mind in the end. Just very good emotional book. If you want an emotional book, she's great for that. Daisy Jones and the Six really caught me off guard. Very good. I then watched the show, really enjoyed that. The music, seeing that come to life. She just has this way about making you love her characters and being so emotionally invested in them that when you finish, you're going to miss her characters. So I definitely recommend checking her out. I did read my first Emily Henry book, Funny Story, and I was really surprised by her. And I think I might go into that with one of these questions for the book tag, but she really surprised me. I really enjoyed the book. I'll share a little bit more about it in a minute. I also read The Firekeeper's Daughter. This is a YA book, and it really surprised me, and it reminded me that I need to read more YA, because honestly, like, just so emotional, so like just a perspective of Native American families in northern US that is very like current. And honestly, I'm just so uneducated in that area, so it was just really interesting to read, and it was just very impactful and very emotional, and I enjoyed it very much. I also read The Reappearance of Rachel Price, and this one took me a while to get into. I'm talking like 300 pages, but it all came together in the end. And I think like what I'm discovering is like that's what's happening with these sorts of books for me, is like I'm not like gripped by the beginning. I'm interested and engaged and I want to know, but I'm not loving them like as much as like 2021 or 2022 me would have thought like that would have been my favorite genre. Very good, and I enjoyed them. I will read more in that genre for sure, but it just takes me like a while to get there, and in the end I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I read it, right? But it just takes me a while. I did read Never Lie by Frida McFadden, and I think I'm realizing that I'm actually missing a book, and I've read 29 books because I read another Frida book, and where the hell is it? Not on my list. Yeah, what the heck? It's not on my list. I've read 29 books. I just had this huge aha moment right here with you guys. I read The Inmate. What the actual hell? The Inmate had me completely shook. In the end, I was like, this woman is a savage. And I was just saying that about Geneva Rose, but Frida McFadden is the same. They're both savages. Like, I'm just like, what in the actual hell? Never Lie was really good too, but it wasn't like as good to me as The Inmate. In the end, it still had your like jaw drop. You're just like, what the actual hell? Where you are thinking about it afterwards, being like, how did she come up with this? Like, her and Geneva Rose, they should be BFFs. I don't know. But I'm like literally gonna add that to my Goodreads right now. I'm like, how did I not add that to my list. So that is a whole 29 books, guys. What the actual hell? Okay, love that one. Okay, anyway, wow. So I was like, I'm missing a book for sure. And I've been knowing I've been missing a book, and I keep saying it. And I'm like, I'm telling my husband, like, I'm missing a book. But anyway, let's go back. So I did read my first Ashley Post, I'm going to be saying this wrong, Ashley Poston book, a novel love story. And let me tell you guys, I was just, again, like, this is one of those where I was just like, it's taking me a little while to like get into it. I'm not as invested in the main character as I hoped. I think I might love the 7-Year Slip more, but we'll see. I did pick that one up and I'm going to read it. I did really enjoy it. It just kind of took me a little while, I feel like. But anyways, still worth the read, a fun romance, and she's really well rated for a reason. So this is why I don't like to give stars, because I'm like, everybody has, like, reading, everybody has what they like, and like, just because I didn't love something, or because it's, just because like it wasn't for me doesn't mean it's not good. So who am I to be like, don't read this book sucks? Like, I'm not gonna do that. It was fun, came together in the end, just took me a little while, that's all. I did read my first Abby Jimenez book. I can't say enough good things. I actually have it all tabbed because I'm going to be going over this in my book club that I have once a month with my cousins, and I just cannot say enough good things. Similar to Emily Henry's Funny Story, I really felt like Abby Jimenez and Emily Henry have been through some shit in their life, and like, they know how to portray people's pain, and I can relate in a lot of ways to both of their characters, and I just think that they're beautiful stories, and they're very real, and they're very raw, and it's kind of one of those things where if you kind of don't have that experience, maybe you can't relate to these characters as much, so you may not think the books are as good as some people, versus like for somebody who can relate to one of the characters, they're gonna be like, wow, I really love how she portrayed this very raw human experience. I just can't say enough good things, you guys, and this book is just beautiful. And to start off the questions, and the last book on here, let me make sure that I'm not missing any. Yeah, I think that was all of them. But anyway, let's go through the questions. So we're already like, 20 minutes in. Okay, so best book that I've read so far in 2024. Assistant to the Villain. I loved this so much, you guys. I was just so like, what? I wasn't expecting to love this so much. This is the perfect example of cozy fantasy, not too much world building, hilarious, will have you cracking, like laughing out loud, cracking up. I haven't had a book do that in like, I don't even know ever like this much, and it was just, I enjoyed it so much. And the second book is coming out in August, and I literally cannot wait. I'm counting down the days. I miss the characters so much. I just want to be back in this world, and when I say that, I truly mean it. So I'm so excited for this. This is definitely my favorite read of 2024 so far. Okay, so for the next question, best sequel I read so far in 2024. Now, I did not know that technically Abby Jimenez's book would be considered a sequel. With that being said, I know that they're like standalone, her books, technically. So I'm not really going to count that anyway. My favorite actual sequel was What Feasts at Night. So this is the sequel to What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. They're nice short books and just beautiful hardback books, like just beautiful. I love them. This was the most fun. You just get really attached to Alex Easton, the main character, and you just want to see his story through. And you just, she comes up with these ideas. You're like, she's kind of morbid, but in like weird, morbid, quirky, and very, very good. So this is my favorite. All right, so next question is new releases that you haven't read but you want to. Definitely The Midnight Feast. This one just released, and this is what I'm going to be starting next. So I'm very, very excited. I really love Lucy Foley, guys. I know people didn't love the guest list. You either like loved or hated the guest list, but truthfully, I think you either love or don't love whodunits. Is probably what it comes down to. I really enjoy her books. I think that she does whodunits well. They are easy to follow, or easier to follow, and I just think she also has some of those gasping twists in the end that you're just like, what the actual hell? So I know this one's going to be a lot of fun, and I'll be chatting about it forever after. So I'm excited to read this one. I did pick up this first edition, Dreadful, and it's so beautiful, by Caitlin Rozakis. I might be saying that wrong. Look how beautiful it is, guys. This just came out as well. Super hard to get your hands on, and I'm so glad that I did. I can't wait to read this. This is just giving me also like cozy fantasy vibes, giving me like, I'm gonna love it, like Assistant to the Villain, and I'm very excited to read this. All right, next question is your most anticipated release for the second half of the year? I'm going to have to say Apprentice to the Villain. I cannot wait next month in August for that. And also T. Kingfisher's new book, A Sorceress Comes to Call, comes out. And those are the two that I cannot wait. I'm like, T. Kingfisher, don't stop writing books, please. You'll break my heart. But also like Hannah Nicole. And I'm just going to call her Hannah Nicole N because I don't know how to say her last name. Mayer? I don't know. Don't stop writing books either. Like, keep this world going. Keep it going. I love it so much. All right, next question is your biggest surprise. Oh, guys. Okay, I'm going to say that, honestly, Emily Henry and Abby Jimenez surprised me. And I just said it right. Like, just the relatability and the rawness of these characters. And I mean, you can feel their pain and their trauma. And like, you can obviously tell I'm somebody who's gone through some shit because I was taken back. I really just think that they both write their characters so beautifully. And that really surprised me. I cannot wait to read more books by both of them. I was also very surprised by The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I completely fell in love with that book. I'm telling you, I still think about it. And she as a whole has surprised me too. Like, she's another author that I just want to read more of her books because I've loved Daisy Jones and I loved Evelyn Hugo. I'm gonna love them all, I feel like. And again, somebody that I think just writes her characters so well that you miss them when you're done reading them. And I think that that's beautiful. Like, what is more beautiful than that? I don't know. Next question is your favorite author, or it could be a debut author. And I think I just answered that as well, right? Abby Jimenez, Emily Henry, I'm gonna say Taylor Jenkins Reid, T. Kingfisher. Like, you can tell, like, this journey of reading is really kicking off for me this year. So many authors, guys. Hannah Nicole N, so we're calling her Anna Nicole N. I'm loving everyone, honestly. Newest fictional crush. Guys, Zayden from Fourth Wing. Daddy Zadie. I love him so much. I'm listening to the dramatized Audible, like part 1 and part 2, and part 2 drops in a few days. I've already pre-ordered it. Like, the man that plays his voice. Swoon. I'm in love with him. Also, though, honorable mentions. I really liked Justin in here. I liked Justin a lot. I felt like Justin was like the epitome of, and I've heard people say this, like, if he wanted to, he would, right? And I just feel like he took such good care of her. And it's just so nice to read a male character that is such a genuinely good person. And I also felt this way about Miles in Funny Story. I just felt like Miles was such a good person, and it's just so nice to read men written that way. Like, just, it's beautiful, honestly. We need more of these men, like, in real life, just manifested everywhere. And I'm grateful to have one in my husband. Thank God. But these men, I love them. All right, book that made you cry. Definitely The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I cried. That's it. That's all. Like, that was so emotional for me in the end. That was emotional for me. I also cried reading Firekeeper's Daughter. I just was so, and like, I'm even like gonna talk about it. Like, I can't even put it into words. The way that the women were portrayed and the experiences of Native American women and women in general, and the pain that women hide. In that pain, the community that it brings together for women, it was just portrayed so beautifully, and it just stayed with me. I literally cannot even talk about it without crying. We're gonna move on to books that made you happy. Books that made me happy. Abby Jimenez, Assistant to the Villain. Funny Story by Emily Henry. The Seventh Bride by T. Kingfisher. Most beautiful book that I bought so far or received this year. I would definitely say these two books are the most beautiful books. I love the color and detail here. They're just so pretty. All right, so last question. What books do I need to read by the end of the year? I'm going to be reading more Emily Henry, more Taylor Jenkins Reid. I'm going to be reading Apprentice to the Villain. I'm going to be starting T. Kingfisher's Clockwork Boys series. And that's not the name of the series, but that's the first book. Definitely, like, upcoming this month, I'm going to read Funny Story. I'm going to read Midnight Feast. I have to read Dreadful. There is another one that I picked up that's giving me Assistant to the Villain vibes. I cannot think of the name, but I will pop it here. I just like randomly picked that up at the store. It just sounds so good, like right down my alley. And so I have so many books that I want to read. And if I haven't even, honestly, I don't like, don't come at me for this. Don't come at me for this, but I wholeheartedly mean this. I kind of hate Goodreads because I just feel like there's so much negativity. Like, I can't take it. Like, I literally can't take it. I literally use Goodreads just to keep track of my books for myself. So in my want to read, I don't really have like, it's not like 100% like caught up. Like these, I just kind of throw some stuff in there that maybe I don't want to forget. Oh, but I do also want to read a book by Ali Hazelwood because I've just heard such good things. Bride, 100% going to read Bride. 100% going to read T. Kingfisher's The House of Good Bones. I have a few historical fictions that I want to work through. Circe, The Marriage Portrait that I started and never finished. I have a horror that's been sitting on my shelf forever, The Sanatorium. Need to read that. Tons of books. But anyways, guys, if you stuck around today, don't forget to hit the thumbs up. Follow along if you want to see some more book content, because I'm definitely going to be sharing more. I have just started my TikTok that's going to be basically book focused, so I will link that in the description below. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys are inspired to pick up any of the books that I listed. If so, let me know in the comments below. If you have any recommendations for me, let me know in the comments below too, just based off of kind of like, you kind of maybe got my, what my vibe is here. I'm always taking recommendations, but I'm super excited to just keep being on this reading journey and to share that with you guys. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.